Now, defensively, they started to ramp it up in the second half, and they forced a total of 11 turnovers. But here's the thing. Here's the most interesting part about the series, or about the game, as a matter of fact. Now, remind you, Toronto forced, well, I'll put it to you this way. Toronto got 9 steals in this game. The Sixers turned the ball over 24 times. 9 of 24 of the Sixers' turnovers were steals. That means the rest of those were unforced errors. 15 of those turnovers were unforced errors. That means mental lapses. That means you guys aren't focused. That means you guys aren't on the same page. There was a momentary chemistry issue. To have 15 of your 24 turnovers be unforced errors means that you guys got to get back into the lab, and you guys should not win this game. But here's the story of the game. Yes, the Sixers committed 24 turnovers, 15 of them being unforced, 9 of them being steals by the Toronto Raptors. In total, the Toronto Raptors forced, in total for the Sixers, we forced 11 turnovers compared to the 24 turnovers we committed. If you look at those numbers, that tells you what? The team with the most turnovers most likely will lose the game, right? That's essentially what that means. But here's what's interesting about that. Yes, the Toronto Raptors forced 24 turnovers on us. But here's the sad part about it. Toronto did not take advantage of the opportunities they created. They did not take advantage of a bad Sixers team. They didn't take advantage of the unforced errors that we committed. Toronto only scored 11 points off of all the turnovers that we allowed to happen. Out of the 24 turnovers, the Toronto Raptors only was able to score 11 points off of 24 turnovers. What does that tell you? That means that the Philadelphia 76ers, although they committed turnovers and they showed lack of discipline on the offensive end, they maintained their discipline on the defensive end. They didn't allow the Toronto Raptors to what? Get off on them in transition. Of course they're going to get by you at some point. It's an NBA game. It's NBA talent. Guys are going to get off at some point. But when you commit 24 turnovers and you only allow 11 points off those said turnovers, there's something to be said about that. But here's another nuance of the game. The Philadelphia 76ers forced the Toronto Raptors to commit 11 turnovers. But here's the nuance about us. And this is how we got back into the game. Although we only forced 11 turnovers, we scored 27 points off of our turnovers. Let that sink in. The Philadelphia 76ers scored 27 points off of the 11 turnovers that they forced on the Toronto Raptors. What does that tell you? That means that although they didn't force the Toronto Raptors to make that many mistakes, when they made the mistakes, they took advantage and put up the points. The Philadelphia 76ers have been shooting very well from the three-point line this series. Let's make that very clear. As a team, the Philadelphia 76ers have been shooting very well from the three-point line. If you ask me, I think they're shooting above 45% as a team in the playoffs so far. Let's just make sure that's all correct. As a team, excuse me. As a team, they're shooting. Let me make sure I got my numbers correct. They're shooting 46% from the three-point line as a team. They're shooting above 51% from the field. The Philadelphia 76ers are shooting very well in this series, despite the mistakes they made in Games 3 and in Games 2. Games 1 and Games 2, yes, were very dominant wins. Game 2, we started to fall off a little bit towards the end, but we ramped it up. Game 3, Toronto punched us in the mouth. going down 17 points in the second quarter, being down by 10 points in the first half, committing 24 turnovers, but only allowing Toronto to score 11 points off of those turnovers. Toronto didn't take advantage of a bad Sixers team. They did not. And that's why they lost the game. The Philadelphia 76ers took advantage of every opportunity, although they were behind most of the game. Didn't take the lead until the game-winning 3 by Joel Embiid. On top of that, and we're going to get into more details about this game. We're going to discuss Joel Embiid's dominance. We're going to get into so many details about this. But on top of that, the Philadelphia 76ers won the rebounding battle. You see, the Toronto Raptors are a team that they want to get out in transition. They want to win the rebounding battle. They want to force you to make mistakes. They want to get stops. They want to force you to miss shots. If they force you to miss shots, they can get the boards. If they get the boards, that allows them to run in transition. They want to force you to long shots. They don't want to allow you to get to the rim. That's where they've struggled. They've struggled stopping guys like Tyrese Maxey from getting to the rim. They've struggled stopping guys like Joel Embiid from getting to the rim. They've struggled stopping Tobias Harris from getting to the rim. Even though James Harden isn't having the most spectacular series, James Harden is shooting above 40% in all categories. Above 45% in all categories, I believe. So they're struggling stopping James Harden in the moments that they have. He hasn't been the most efficient, but he has been efficient from the 3, shooting above 45% from the 3. That's not bad. Shooting above 43, 44% from the field could be better. But they're having a hard time stopping the Sixers from scoring. The Sixers are shooting above 51% from the field for this entire series through 3 games. They're shooting above 45% from the 3 through 3 games. Toronto is legitimately struggling to stop the Philadelphia 76ers from scoring, despite the mistakes they're making. Remember, 24 turnovers, you're not supposed to win that game. You're not supposed to win that game. Yet, the Sixers win 104-101 behind a Joel Embiid 3-point fadeaway game-winning shot to take a commanding 3-0 lead in this series. This Sixers team is growing before our very eyes. This Sixers team is doing things we didn't think they had in them all season. Playing good defense in transition, attacking the boards, hustling to every dead ball, playing with the second and third and fourth effort. Those are the things we discussed, right?